All right, everybody, welcome to the Service Hub. This week we have Shaina. Oh my gosh, Shaina Weisinger. Did I pronounce it right?
Close. Hard G. Weisinger.
Weisinger. Yeah. I'm sorry, Shaina.
He's shaking his head at you. I love it.
I should have asked before we jumped in, but I don't really. We like to just roll with it, right?
On the Service Hub, it's just raw. It's real.
I feel you. I love that.
Names. We don't care.
Where are you calling in from today, Shaina?
I'm here in sunny Phoenix, Arizona.
Trevor and I both wish we were there. We're in Salt Lake City, Utah. It's cold.
Oh, man.
We literally had some snow on my back porch last week.
Already? Oh,
yes,
man.
Yes, already.
Holy cow. I would love for snow, but that's never going to happen. It's a pipe dream of mine that Phoenix will get it. We've had it before, but it did hail like 3 weeks ago, which is random, but not the same.
Oh.
Yeah, I love it. So Shaina has an awesome background, primarily in content and creation of content and social media and digital marketing in general. Shaina, kind of fill us in where your background, where you come from, and what you guys are doing for the service industry.
Yeah, sounds good. So my background is video production for digital marketing strategies. So I have a company that does all video production. I've had that for years. And one thing that I specialized in was being able to create a lot of value-based content that's actually effective in a full-blown strategy, as opposed to just having a client come to me and be like, we need a 5-minute, awesome, highly produced video about how epic we are. And I'm literally the person who will be like, no, you don't. So let's talk about what you actually need in your business. Don't get me wrong. Like, everybody needs a video about who they are and why they do what they do. But that's not the content you want to constantly promote on social media, right? Because nobody cares. Ultimately, they care about themselves and how their life will be made better because of your content. So I did a lot of strategy and thinking outside the box on how businesses can do that and drive traffic to their site, lead generation, things like that. So out of that, I was doing video podcasts for a lot of clients because that's value-based content. Like, you guys get it. You're doing podcasts right now. You're trying to give value to your audience, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a great way to create recurring content that's long form that you can then repurpose into social media assets. So a part of the service that I was offering my video clients who were doing podcasting was those small repurpose assets. So square size, we got little 1 to 2 minute clips of something epic that the person said on the show. They're formatted for all the different types of social media platforms. And I was pitching the whole video podcast service to a lot of really prominent audio podcasters. And I kept hearing the same thing from almost all of them. And they were like, we don't care about the video thing. Like, that's fine. They're like, but if you were to just create those assets for us, we will throw our money at you. And I was like, why is everybody saying this? And there wasn't a service that did it. Like, there are tools you can use yourself that are amazing. Like, Headliner's awesome. I love those guys. And then there are like bigger agencies that will do it for you as a part of like a larger package. But there really wasn't a business that just niched on creating repurposed assets for like long form type of content. And so that's why I kind of started doing what I do. So now I've got Repurpose House, and we take any type of long form content, so video, audio, blog posts, and we turn them we'll like chop them up into 1 million pieces, make a bunch of smaller assets for social media that are optimized, right? So the square size, the headlines, the captions, all that. We'll take blog posts and turn them into like text motion videos, like those Goalcast videos that you see. Mm-hmm. So you get little teaser snippets of that. And then you're able to then drive traffic to the longer form content on your site, get lead generation, things like that. And it's been really amazing ever since.
That is awesome. For those that are listening, I feel like if you've never created a long form piece of content, it might not make sense to you. But for those that have created a long form piece of content, that is a huge time saver. Like, it is a pain to take a 30-minute interview or even a 5-minute video and be able to take little snippets and make them kind of attractive and be able to post them on social media. Like, that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That's super cool.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it's not rocket science to do. It's just, it takes time and effort and energy and, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's really amazing. And for those who are listening, who aren't very familiar with, long form content, I mean, pretty self-explanatory. It's just longer, and you want it you want it in little snippets and little pieces. But the question comes up in my mind, before we started the podcast, we were chatting a little bit about, for the service industry specifically, like, I'm sitting here, say I own, a pool cleaning service or whatever. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know where to begin. Like
Yeah.
what piece of content can I capture? Like I can film someone cleaning a pool for like 10 minutes. That's exciting. I don't know what to
that.
do. Yeah, exactly. What did you scoop out of that deep end? Like help us understand where do these guys start before they ever come to you? What can we do?
Great question. So it's funny because to me, it feels so obvious on the stuff that you can actually like come up with, and you can have like a well of awesome content. But if you haven't done it before, like how do you just know what works, right? So for me, the first thing you can really start thinking about are what are questions that you get asked all the time when you go out to service calls or by potential clients or by existing clients. Like it's okay to give away the farm, because kind of like what I do, I teach people how to do all the repurposing. But the people who don't want to do it themselves are going to hire me to do it because I'm obviously the well of knowledge. I know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Same goes for any other industry. Like if you're a pool expert, teaching people how to do certain things and answering questions that you have the answers to makes you the authority in your industry. And especially if you have a local audience, or you can start like accumulating a local audience, you will become the person that they think of on the top of their mind when they do need that service, or when somebody's asking them, do you know anybody who does X, Y, or Z? So have a running list on your phone of like questions you get asked constantly, or even like tips that you know that people haven't asked that you've just brought up a lot, that can be really, really helpful for your audience. And then the nice thing is you don't have to, like, when you think about it, don't just start filming right then and there. I mean, you can, but that's not a really great system or process to put into place for content creation. Totally. That's where the list comes in. Like, I'm sure that you've got branded stuff that you wear constantly in your service industry, right? So it doesn't matter if you have the same outfit on, you're probably wearing the same outfit every time you go to a service call. So have your list of like 5 to 8 different topics. Whenever you're ready, do a selfie style video of it, just talking about what each of these things are individually. Make sure it's under 2 minutes. And then now you've got 8 different videos that you can repurpose on social media. It took you 8 times 2, 16 minutes to film, right? And now you got all of this content that you can share on all the different platforms. And it's all knowledge based, like you're helping people ultimately.
Yeah. Dude, I love that. So simply just taking out your phone, open up Notepad or whatever it is that you take notes on.
Yep.
And each time you get asked a question, just throw it on there, and that's it. And then set aside maybe a less productive day that you have, or if you've got like an office admin day, that's when you pull out your phone and say, I'm going to bust out 5 of these videos today.
Exactly.
It's that simple.
It's that simple.
Like an actual service call. I can imagine, Parker owns a mobile bike shop.
Yeah.
And, people like ask, what are they going to ask you?
They ask all kinds of questions, like how do I maintain my bike? Like, what are the best practices for maintaining a bike?
You can just whip it out and start filming.
Do it right there
while you're on a call.
Yeah.
True story. Honestly, like I would just set up a little, like one of those little tripods you can have with your phone and just record that conversation. And then out of that conversation, you can pull the little shorter snippets that are impactful. And it's kind of like Gary Vaynerchuk is this guy who does all of like the content creation. He's like the mastermind. He talks about documenting and not creating. So that would be you documenting a real conversation you have with somebody. You're showcasing your expertise, and you can pull a bunch of tiny pieces out of a conversation you're already having. Like you're not content creating, you're already having the conversation. You may as well, document and be able to use it later.
Yeah.
Well, and YouTube is like probably one of the best validations of this, because people aren't watching TV anymore. They're watching YouTube.
Watching vlogs, people doing nothing.
And
they love it.
And they love it.
They're watching professional, like,
livers,
14-year-old kids, basically. Like, what is one of the channels we watch? It's Job or Jamie O'Brien. It's like
professional surfer, just like always out there, just like acting like a little kid and having fun.
He's a professional kid.
If you're into surfing, you're gonna watch that. If you're into having if you have a pool, you're gonna watch a little clip of somebody fixing a part or whatever.
Yeah, but like if you go watch the video content, like it's not professional.
No, it's
not like ridiculously what do you call it?
Well produced.
Yeah, it's not produced. It's very authentic and real, and
love that. There have been a lot of studies on the effectiveness of heavily produced video versus selfie style video. And there's this guy, Dennis Yu, and he is like the Facebook king, right? He literally wrote a big chunk of the book that like all the universities use when they teach about Facebook and marketing courses.
No way.
And when I interviewed him, he was saying that like he had one client that they are a national chain, a furniture store, right? And he tested a highly produced video that they created for the brand against the owner doing like a selfie style video. And the owner's like, I don't want to do this. Nobody cares about me. Right? Because he's like, I don't want to be on camera. But he made him do it just to test it. And they ran paid ads. And the selfie style video got like 5 times as much engagement as the produced one. So it works. And I have a video production background. It kills me to say that out loud, but it definitely works. But it also is super helpful for anybody creating content because anybody can do it now. You know, you literally take out your phone, point it at your face and start talking about something. As long as it's relevant, it will work, you know?
Is there a way to get over the fact that people mostly hate watching themselves on video? I mean, my brother, he started a little YouTube channel for his family, just like doing a little adventures. And he's like, man, I just hate watching myself. It's the worst.
Yeah, you just got it. But that's everybody. Well, not everybody. Don't get me wrong. There's some people who love to see themselves on camera. But ultimately, if you're in, you know, especially in service industry, a lot of these people, a lot of these guys especially are like, I don't want to be on camera, but you just got to get over it. Like, practice makes perfect. The first couple that you do, you may want to allot some time to redo because you'll watch it back and be like, oh my gosh, I did this one thing so many times. But ultimately, like after a while, you'll get used to it and it will feel more second nature than anything. It's tough at first, honestly.
Yeah. I think the hard part is feeling like you're not talking to anybody. When you're just talking on the phone, you have like weird intonations and things. I remember I did video production for a while and I would do little tip tricks videos, you know, selfie style. Like, man, I'm not talking to anybody. To help me overcome that, I would have my brother come in a room and I just teach him about what I was doing. And like, this was like back, like I was like really young. I was like living at my parents and I had like drag my little brother in like, look, let me teach you about like lighting and exposure for like, so I can sell more camera, like photo shoot packages. And he's like, okay, I just need someone to talk to.
Yeah, it's tough. I still get weird when I film, like, I'll film selfie style videos, like when I'm out and about, but it's like the weirdest thing for me to be in a public space, like with my camera out. I just can't, I know that everybody knows what you're doing, but I can't get over it. I still need to be kind of semi alone if I'm doing it and then I can turn it on and not feel ridiculous, but it's the nature of the beast, right?
Yeah. So for those that are listening and haven't done this and are just like on the verge of getting started, there you have it. Shaina, a professional, still is uncomfortable. The wizard of this, still uncomfortable doing it. I don't think it ever goes away.
It's like not for me.
And it may not for anybody. So I think it just comes down to execution, just doing it. Pull out your phone, set aside that time, and just film those 10, 15, or even 4 or 5, however many videos you need in that time period. And then, publish it. Don't be afraid to publish it, right?
Yeah, and also make sure you put it on YouTube because nobody goes on Facebook and searches how to clean my pool filter. Like people go to Google and do that, and Google owns YouTube. So anytime, and obviously that's something that if it pops up in text or if it pops up in video, I'm going to click video because I need to see how to do that one thing, right? So don't just post to social media. A lot of people make the mistake of not uploading it to YouTube. That's where you're going to get people who are actively searching for that solution. Facebook, Instagram, all those other platforms they're not actively seeking for your content. It's just hitting them at a time period where they may or may not care. But make sure that you're available when people are looking for what it is that you're talking about too.
Totally.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
So Shaina, so let's say that's kind of like first steps getting started. What would you suggest to somebody that's been doing this and they kind of want to take it to that next level and they're seeing some results, they need to double down on it? What would you recommend they do?
You know, if you're not already formatting everything the way that it needs to be formatted for social media, then you're behind the curve, especially if you're creating the content. You're doing yourself a disservice by not actually making sure that you followed all the rules and making sure you get the most engagement. And so some of those that are really important are the shape of the video. So square video hugely outperforms landscape video. Wow. And some people are like, well, how do I even film that? Well, there are platforms like, Headliner that I was just talking about, they'll do it for you. Obviously, my company does all of those things, but if you're trying to do it yourself, putting it into something like Headliner, making it square, and you can make sure you do a headline on it. Like, what is somebody going to get themselves into when they stop on this piece of content? A talking head doesn't get people to stop scrolling. A big headline that draws attention to a problem that they want solved will, right? So it's like, you'll never believe what was in this person's vacuum. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, just make it something that is like, oh, I want to watch that if it's somebody who may be interested in it, right? So a big headline that's really draws attention is super helpful. Making sure it's square if it's on feeds, right? So feeds is anything that you're scrolling with your thumb. So that's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. We'll touch on Instagram in a second. They have other weird algorithm things going on right now. But in general, on the feed, make sure it's square. Then making sure there's captions. Captions are such a big deal. 85% of people on Facebook and Instagram scroll and watch video on mute, which is crazy. 80% of people on LinkedIn do it. So everybody's doing it, even if they're business people. They're not like just actually watching video. The only platform they really watch with the audio on is YouTube. So you don't have to worry about that because it auto-populates captions, but you have to have captions literally on the video file when you upload to Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Those are really the three main ones, making sure that the shape, the headline, and the captions are on that. And then you're going to have a massive increase in engagement from a video that you just posted without it.
So for those who don't know what headline is, like I can be like, wait, where does the headline go? Is that your actual video content? Is that what you write about it? Fill those in who don't.
Sure, yeah. So essentially think of a big square piece of video, right? You filmed it landscape, which is, horizontal. So you filmed it with your phone horizontal. On the top, there's going to be, you're like, well, how do I make that square? Instead of cropping and like cutting off the sides of your video, you'll have a big bar on top where you would put the big text. So make sure that it's, it's not a 50-word headline. It's like a short, sweet, can be really big text headline, but it's on the actual video. Then you've got like what we call copy, which is the text that you type in when you upload your video, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the piece of content that you're actually uploading to the platform. Perfect. Has to have the big bold text on it.
So what do you recommend people use for putting a headline on the video? Just like if they've got an iOS phone, they just use the what do you call it? The Apple iPhone editor.
Well, honestly, there's not really a whole lot, at least not that I know of off the top of my head, on like your actual phone that you can do it. If you're going to DIY it, honestly, headliner.app is the best place to do it. They have, I think you get like X amount of videos free every month. They have a paid version if you have a lot of content. Realistically, after like the videos you get for free, they just put a watermark on it. So it's kind of like, if it depends on how much or how little you care about something like that. But you can go in there, create your headlines, upload your logo. It will auto-populate captions. You kind of have to go through and make sure that the captions are okay because it's an artificial intelligence, like caption generator. So I think they use Google's captions. So you have to go in and do some due diligence. Like it takes some time, but you can actually do the whole thing, shape it the way you need to shape it. You can do vertical, you can do square, you can do all of these things in their platform. And it's a really amazing tool. It's just, it takes time.
Yeah. Or they can just use your business.
Or they can just come to us and we'll shape it all the different ways and you're good to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love that. So let's talk about, we talked about creation. Let's talk about channel. Okay. What channel should these service businesses be posting on?
It depends on what your service is, honestly. Well, everybody's on Facebook. Like to say that my audience isn't on Facebook is ridiculous because they're there. The majority of them will be, right? So Facebook is important. Instagram, I mean, from my experience and from people I've been talking to a lot, especially in the marketing field, a lot of people are utilizing it as a brand awareness platform. It doesn't exactly like generate leads. It does really well with products. If you're selling product, great. But if you're selling a service, it's more just to consistently be in front of people, right? LinkedIn is more B2B. So like business to business. If you service businesses, then that's a great platform for you to be on. If you service individuals or homes, then that's probably going to be more your Facebook crowd.
Although they are humans still though on LinkedIn, right?
They are. I think the mentality is just different. You're still talking to humans, right? But I mean, ultimately, it's a very business focused platform. Totally. So depending on what you're looking to, I mean, here's the deal. It can't hurt to be on all of them. It just depends on how much effort you want to put into posting. If it's going to be too hard for you to do all of the platforms well, pick one or two that you can crush and do it that way. And then once that's kind of locked and loaded, then you can start introducing other platforms and seeing if that helps.
Yeah, that's it. And again, you guys, what like remember the thing that Shaina said was you need to post on YouTube no matter what. Basically, you're taking this YouTube video and breaking them down into small little pieces and then sharing them on doing an authentic share. You're not posting the link to your YouTube video on Facebook, right?
Right. Because if you do that, Facebook does not like people to leave Facebook. So if you post a link on your Facebook post, Facebook will limit the amount of people who can see it because they want everybody to stay on the platform. So you have to physically upload the video through Facebook in order for it to get the most eyeballs that you want it to get.
And that's why having the headline on the video is important,
Yeah.
because people are sitting on the toilet and watching the video.
That's exactly right. Yeah, no, you're totally right.
Oh, Parker, exposing all of our deep dark secrets. What are you doing?
First of all, it's not a secret. Let's be honest. It's something nobody wants to mention.
It's just one of those unmentionable common known.
Yeah, let's be honest.
That is funny.
No, go ahead.
One other thing to think about if you really want to up your game is if you have a site that is offering a lot of tips, like if this is something you're already kind of doing, creating blog posts on your website out of these videos that you have created is an awesome way to get SEO, because if people go to search for you, that's really going to help. So you can have your videos transcribed so every single word of them become searchable. And then you can also have like little blog posts created that just break down kind of what you're talking about. But when you have these videos that you're like repurposing out of that long, like say it's a 7-minute video on something about your pool, you can take up to 2 minutes of that, make that the little social media post, but not in the actual like text or whatever, but in the bottom in the comments or on the actual video, you can say, hey, to see the whole video, go here. And then they land on your website and they can watch the entire video. So instead of sending them to YouTube, you can send them to your website, where if you're like super savvy, you have like an opt-in pop-up where they give you their information, or, you know, they're actually there and they're like, hey, this guy's great, let's get them booked. But it's a much more effective way to get people to actually land on your website than sending them to a YouTube link or not giving them any call to action on the video to begin with. One really cool thing we had one client doing was he's doing his longer video in like the top 7 things to do with whatever, right? And then he'll take like the first one and make number 1 its own video on social, number 2 its own video on social, number 3, but it'll be like tip 2 of 7 on how to do this one thing, right?
Ooh, yeah.
To see the rest of the tips, go here. And then he's shooting them over to his website on the blog post where they can see the whole video.
What a great hook. Like,
leave them wanting more, right?
Yeah. It's like when you're reading a chapter of your favorite childhood novel, and you get to the end. Yeah, you get to the end of the chapter and they leave you on a cliffhanger. So that's a little cliffhanger, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You want more. What are the other 3?
Who stole the cookie? I have no idea.
I don't know.
To read this next chapter.
Well, and it's funny because like the brain does not like open loops. So if you leave an open loop, it wants to close it. So that the like natural instinct is to click through and close the loop. So they need to know all 7 tips. It would be more frustrating for the brain, just like as is, to not find out what the other tips are if they were interested in the first one.
Yeah. Gosh, we're like tapping into psychology.
The marketing is all psychology.
It makes sense. You know, when you're on YouTube, how many times are you looking at that little sidebar of like related videos and you're like, oh my gosh, like
while watching a video.
Yeah.
An entertaining video, you're getting distracted with other videos.
I'd love to know how fast a plane can fly around the world. Sure, I'll click on that video.
Yeah.
Just keep going. And I think what's cool about, you know, having a video series that all relates is that within YouTube, especially, you can build like things like playlists. You can use a lot of the structure within a lot of these platforms to naturally create, you know,
an experience.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
Make your either your website. So, and I'm totally on par with Shaina. Like, I love what you said, recommending people to, from social media, go to your website. Mm-hmm. But if they do go to your YouTube channel, like, you're making your channel sticky with more content. And then you're also making your website sticky with more content. Right. They're going to stick around on that page. They're going to want to know, whoa, there's another video. I want to watch that. So, what other tips do you have for us today? Like, if somebody is like advanced, they've got a channel, they have this stuff, they're doubling down on it, what would you say is next steps? They're kind of doing it themselves. Would you say they start outsourcing, start looking at
Yeah.
finding people to help them with this?
If you're doing it yourself, you know the pain of doing it yourself. So
Yeah.
I don't have to like preach on that. There's multiple ways you can find help. Obviously, I created my business to be able to help people like just explode when they come down to social. Like our best clients are clients who are already doing this and they just are like, I can't do this at scale and I have all of this content, right? So hiring a company like mine to be able to create these assets for you, and all you have to worry about is the creation part, right? And then the distribution. You can bring on a VA, or you can use something like a Buffer or an Agora Pulse where you can schedule your posts for you so you don't have to worry about when you're posting them and being available. That's super helpful. But also like VAs can be an amazing resource as well. Like you can train people how to do this stuff. It's just going to take a lot longer and it may cost you a little bit more. But finding people who can help you manage the things that you can train them to do is really going to help streamline your processes, because you're good at doing your trade and you're good at creating the content. Like you don't have to be good at doing all of like the nitty gritty stuff that somebody else can do for you. Like outsource and you'll be able to be way more effective.
I love it. And what are, like, cost wise, what are people looking at in regards to like outsourcing that portion of work, kind of what you guys do? What does that usually cost?
Yeah, so it just depends on what you decide to do. Like for our service specifically, we have two plans. So let's say you have one piece of content that you want repurposed every single week. You want a 2-minute clip out of a longer clip, or you have a 2-minute clip and you want that turned into a bunch of assets. Like we would turn it into the square video meme with the captions, the headline. We've already branded really cool templates for you. So it's got like your branding, maybe you on it. We have tons of examples. You'd get it square, you'd get it IGTV size and story sized. You'd get it landscape so you can put it on YouTube with the headline and all that on there. We do like quote cards that would be like a cool stat or something cool that you said that are 25 words, and thumbnails for everything. And if you do that once a week, it's $279 a month, which is really like when you break down per asset, it's nothing.
Yeah.
We also have a plan where if you submit a piece of content by 5 p.m., by 8 a.m. the next business day, you get all of that back.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's like, if you want to do it weekly, great. It's a lot of content. If you want to do it every day, that's even better. And I've had service companies combine forces and they both share one bigger account. And then because they don't really need all 5, but they're like, hey, if you and I get together on this, we can both utilize the platform. I'm like, heck yeah, bring as many brands on this as you want to. And for $479 a month, I mean, each of them are paying half of that. They're able to create a ton of content and be all over social media and dominate it.
Dang, that's awesome.
So, Shaina, you're clearly working with people doing this. Give us a little bit of maybe a success story that you've seen that I'm putting you on the spot.
No, it's fine.
Where you've seen somebody go from like they're not publishing anything to they're posting every single day, and what has that done for their business? Give us maybe a view into what that's like.
Yeah, well, ultimately, the folks who are signing up for our service don't ever start from not posting, because that would be just a huge leap into something pretty aggressive, which is what we do, right? Like
Totally.
The people who generally end up working with us are people who are already creating content and they know that they need to hit that next level, right? So I can give you an example of that for sure. We have one client specifically, he does a show kind of like this. He's in the event industry. So it's called Event Icons. He brings on like the most baller people in events on his show, and it's a once a week kind of deal, but it's gated content. You have to give him your information in order to view it, right? So he asks for like your name, your email, your phone number. He asks for like a crazy amount of information, right? He was on that first plan, which was like 1 ticket repurposed a week. So he'll take up to 2 minutes of a hour-long video podcast, if you will. We'll repurpose it into those 8 assets. He did that for 90 days, just 1 clip a week. And their site sessions increased by 138%. Their opt-ins to view the content increased by 300% in 90 days.
Whoa.
They use HubSpot. So we were able to track all of it, but they were really strategic in how they posted the content. Like they made sure they staggered across all the platforms. So they would post on LinkedIn on Monday, Instagram feeds Tuesday, Instagram stories Wednesday, Facebook Thursday. Like it was the same clip, but they were strategic in where they placed it. They put it in groups as well. The images they posted strategically. So out of like 1 ticket with 8 assets, they would get a whole week's worth of content to post on social. And that's the kind of effect that it had on their lead generation.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is super powerful. I know you mentioned earlier, like everyone's on Facebook, but sometimes you get on Facebook and you're like 2 or 3 days late and you don't see a post, but you're on Instagram like that next day. So that's kind of opening my mind to like, okay, holy crap, you can't just post on the same day to every platform, like stagger
Right.
it, and over the week, like you're gonna hit somebody, especially if they follow you
Right.
on all of the platforms.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So, man,
Wow. Dang.
gold.
This is giving us ideas for our
I
own
know.
business.
That's
Maybe.
awesome. I'm glad. Heck yeah.
I love it. Well, Shaina, thank you so much for joining us. If people want to learn more about what you are doing in the industry and what you're helping people with, where can they go to learn more about you and your business?
Yeah. So me personally, I'm more active on LinkedIn than the others. I'm a B2B, so that's where I kind of live. But I'm just Shaina Weisinger on all the platforms. If you hit me on Instagram, you're going to see a lot of puppy posts. So there's that. If you want business stuff, go to LinkedIn. But as far as like Repurpose House stuff, we're Repurpose House Co. pretty much across the board on all the channels, and you can always head to repurposehouse.com to go check out kind of what we do and examples of some of the work we've done and some of the cool people we've done it for.
Perfect. Awesome. Do you want to leave our audience with any other value bombs, anything that you feel like people need to be doing now, or things that you see people maybe falling short on?
I would just set goals for yourself on content creation. Like we set goals for everything else, right? So if you're going to say, listen, I'm really going to do this, set a goal for like November. Okay, by the end of November, I'm going to have, 15 videos filmed and 5 of them are already on social, and then backdate it from there. Like if you know that by the end of November you want that done, then you have to plan out your weeks ahead of time on when you're going to make it happen. Because if you just think that you're going to at one point just do it, like that's unrealistic. So just set a date, set a number, and make it happen. And like we were saying before, the hardest part is just starting and actually like forcing yourself to do it. And generally speaking, that'll help force you to get it done.
Love it.
Perfect. Set some goals. Well, we appreciate your time once again. And remember, guys, if you're listening on a platform where you can give us a review, please do so. Our favorite flavor is 5 stars, as always. And then if you're looking to get a hold of Parker or I, it's parker@curry.io and trevor@curry.io. We'd love to hear from you guys. And also, if you have any suggestions of awesome people like Shaina we can bring on the show, we'd love to hear from you too.
Shaina, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It was great.